Well, hello, people of the tube. I have now finished pounding my daily liter of coffee, and it's about time to build a quad. This quad, I got all the parts on sick Black Friday deals. Shout out to RaceDayQuads. It is going to consist of the RaceDayQuads 30 amp ESC, Freestyle, R-XSR Receiver, the Bardwell F4 board. This is the old one with the single shunt resistor here. 2306, 2450 RaceDayQuads Badass motors, and the RaceDayQuads Mach 2 VTX with SMA pigtail, and then Lollipop 2. My antenna of choice. What else? Yeah, Cadex Turbo SDR Micro, and that's everything except the frame. And for the frame, I chose the Cayalst Machineworks Speed Addict. I really wanted a split deck frame because I really wanted to reap the benefits having a lower CG, and I also wanted the HD camera high enough so that props aren't in view. So I chose Cayalst Machineworks. It's a pretty expensive frame, honestly. Other frames at this price point have like lifetime warranties, so if I do ever break this frame, I'm probably not buying replacement parts for it. I'm probably just gonna migrate everything to a rooster, something like that. But I really did like the split deck design. People say really great things about Cayalst Machineworks, so that's what I chose. Anyway, I'm gonna start with the ESCs, the power system. Let's do it. Let's do it big. See, if you move the heat shrink over the wire and the parts of the XT60 that the wire goes into, it will shrink just a little bit, which lets you put it right there in the little heat shrink chasm, for lack of a better word. Heat shrink chasm, yes. Yes, that's exactly. Boom. Just like before. Get around that hot part. Get it shrink a little bit. Oh yeah, and then you can just kind of slide it in the whole thing. So after doing the main power leads, I conformal coated the bottom of this Bardwell flight controller. It's not covered the best, but oh well. And on these super low mashed builds, I'm using my own nylon hardware to mount the stack. And you always gotta check that the nylon hardware does not go above the top of the standoff, since these are 15mm standoffs. It's a pretty low smash deck. So that looks good. It looks like they don't. The underside of these ESCs is conformal coated. So I'm just going to stick it on the 3M mounting tape like so. Cut the excess. This gets your scissors all gooey, but so I'm going to stick it on the arm. And we're protected over the top with broken props in the OG Mr. Steel method. Time to tin this, ESCs. Alright, got all the ESCs tinned up. Now it's time to tin the flight controller. You may notice that I did not do the signal ground because I'm not going to be using signal ground. Alrighty. And I'm also not going to be using ESC telemetry just because, like, I just use voltage on my OST and I don't know. I mean, that tells me everything I need to know, so I just never really had a reason to see the amps. I try to say a use for it and a reason for it at the same time, and I said a reason. Alright, and the signal pads. So now I only have red wires here, the right gauge. I'm using let's see, it's 18 gauge for the ESC power wires, 20 gauge for the motor wires, and then 16 gauge for the main power connector. I should probably use a higher gauge for the main power connector, but oh well. But yeah, I was just soldering and I did minus to minus with the red wire, so if you're doing that, be careful. Anyway, signal wires. S1. Boop. Just a tiny little touch is enough for these tiny wires. Do one side, and then I always flip it around so that I can hold in the direction that my left hand's coming from. I get it down on that PWM, and boom. I ran into a pretty annoying snag where your receiver power pad doesn't actually output power until you bridge some of these. So if you're running the Bardwell F4 like I'm doing in this build, bridge these pads. Oh, there you can see the 5-volt solder bridge. Alright, next up, motor wires. Always cut them a bit longer than you need to. Like, right at the edge of the first MOSFET. Strip them. Tin them. And slap them on the ESC. It's that easy. Should get these nice and tinned. A variance in the resistance of your solder joints can actually introduce quite a bit of noise into the system. Most people people imagine sources of noise, and I guess motors are pretty much at the top of their list, so I don't even know what I'm saying. Hopefully these are idiot proof. I actually soldered one of the positives. I soldered one of the positives to the little metal rail on the side. I don't know if the little metal rail is like actually does anything. Guess we'll find out when I plug it in and I smoke it. So next up I'm going to do my receiver here, which is this little second row on the front of the board. That's T, so it's going to be telemetry, which is the green wire. That's S bus, 3.3/5. Now I got that solder bridge on. It's going to be my 5 volt. And then the ground for the receiver. Alright. And let's just do it from the far side up. Alright, T. Yeah, I'm sort of coming off to the side here. Whoop. There we go, S bus is on there. Yeah, now I can really get over the top of it, not obscure anything that I need. The wires are getting a little hot. Now the ground. And again, these are going to come off to the side, like so. Alright, let's see, Let's see if it's legit. Alright, dope. So if you saw there, it might have been hard to see, but I got a flashing red. So let's see if we get solid green once I plug it in. I'm kind of sold on these 3D printer parts though. Look how easy this makes mounting the antenna is. You see these little slots? They line up perfect with little slots here on the butt. I'm just gonna zip tie that antenna right to the butt. Soldering up the VTX now. That pad says 24 volts. Gonna be a main power. I'm actually gonna use the 9 volt rail. What's the next one? Power then ground, this next guy. Boom, flow it. And it looks a little funny. There was silicone conformal coating on this VTX, but I don't know. It should be fine. Third one is the video signal. It's going to be coming off of the OSD on my Bardwell F4 board. And last but not least, smart audio, which is the green wire, this far pad. God, I really love these little like 3D printed accessories. It just makes mounting so much easier. Look at that, it's like soft mounted antenna. That'll take a beating. It's got a nice little groove too for the antenna. Look at that. And now video is far left. Let me just flip this around. Video's here. Video 9-volt ground T4. So video 9-volt, that's our main power. Ground. This next one, alright, Joe. Oop. I hope I didn't fry anything. I definitely touched that. Yeah, it definitely touched that little cap. Alright, well, it's not touching now. No power was plugged in, so it's very unlikely I fried anything, I think. Alright, and smart audio. I'm using this Cadex camera, and I could use some of these fancy adapters to get it actually screwing in little carbon pieces that come with the frame, but it comes with one of these little mounts, so I think I'm just going to zip tie this down to the board. You can see in the frame there's little slots here, and that seems like a perfectly fine way to mount the camera to me. In the field, for instance, if I hit the front of the drone, it's probably going to come loose. Just because the zip ties go all the way around the front of the drone, like so. So I did actually end up sticking the camera down with mounting tape, and then just zip tying it. Because with the zip ties alone, it was sliding back and forth a little bit. This is actually really good because the mounting tape gives a bit of vibration dampening to the camera. To get the cleanest possible video power, I'm going to run the power cable to the Mach 2 VTX's 5 volts out. Plug comes for the camera. I've pulled the yellow one out. This is signal. On this Bardwell board, it goes cam C and then cam S. So the cam C is for the camera control. The cam S is the pad that I will actually be using. Right, show. I cut this a good little bit longer than I really need it. So I always like having a little slack, since when you do find yourself wiring extenders, like, that's really annoying. Extenders. Alright, so give it just a little tin. To light 10, and then cam S. Ba-boom. There we go. Alright, now power and ground. Strip them. Tin them. Strip them, tin them, and accidentally solder them together. God damn it. Let's see, ground is that far left guy. I'm gonna do the power first. And so keeping the camera on the VTX's power, ensures that whatever spikes the camera or the VTX experience, they both experience. Which obviously you don't really want spikes, but it's better to keep the two systems' power synchronized. Alright, that's pretty good. Just like the mounting of everything else, I am mounting the receiver with this 3M sticky mounting tape. This stuff is awesome. And there's a really good spot for it. This is still loose, so I'm still shoving cables under there. Like so. And yeah, I was saying there's a really good spot for it right here, because this little side of the button is a large flat area. See, the top of the board is completely clean, which is good, because there will be a strap right on the top plate right here. And so if you have wires running on the top of the board, the strap a lot of the times will catch the wires and it'll like tug on the wires and unplug things, and that's just no good. So I run all of my cables underneath the board. You'll notice I left the little plug for the camera control here, so I'll have access to this, but it's zip tied down so it won't ever get in the way. And yeah, that's about it. So I also added grommets. Hopefully you can see those on camera. Little grommets there. And that's just to hold the flight controller a little higher off the stack. Alright, so let's get this where it's supposed to be. Push the stack down. See what happens. Zoop. Also, I need to conformal coat this better, but I'm always a little bit nervous about conformal coating the boot button. Come on, go in there. I'm gonna use my own bolts here, because I think there's a special spacing in the split part of the deck up here in the front, so I'm just gonna use some normal M3 bolts. Leave the special spacing bolts for the front. Not tightening anything down too much. Alright, so I got the whole frame clamped down together. Just have this prop on to make sure the clearance of the battery lead works out. A couple finishing touches. First of all, here in the back, I'm gonna obviously zip tie this antenna down. I want to do this, make that nice and snug. Snug up that antenna, chop this. And then the ESCs on the arms are certainly vulnerable to prop strikes. So I'm going to do here is the OG Mr. Steel method. So yeah, I'm cutting up these props into a shape that will cover the ESCs. I'm going to take the little piece of propeller, slap it right over the top of the ESC, protecting all those vulnerable electronics from prop strikes. Just like so. Repeat for all four. So that's a little bit of weight, but I think it's probably worth it. Because there are a bunch of little like capacitors and MOSFETs on the ESC that can pretty easily get wrecked by the high power propellers that we have. Okay. Those are good to go. Alright, now last but not least, I'm going to make a little foam battery pad. push it down right where the screws are, so that it really sinks in there and it's level. Oh yeah, that's not going anywhere. Alright, so I've just done the exact same thing as I've showed, except with the GoPro mount. You can see there's a little piece of foam under there, and it's strapped down with these zip ties nice and tight. Not going anywhere. This is the Lumineer Schizo 25 degrees. I normally fly between 25 and 30 degrees. I feel like that's pretty standard for freestyle pilots. Okay. Alright, and that's about it. That's all she wrote. This build's done. About to flash it with Betaflight 3.5 and go rip it. Hopefully I can rip it tomorrow, but it's been raining a lot, so I may not be able to make it tomorrow. Hey y'all, so it's good a couple months after I finished up that build, and I'm now just finishing up editing that video. Here's the quad that I built in that video. Still runs great. Hundreds of packs through this guy and flies great. So yeah, tested before I ever released the video on how to build it. But the reason it took me a few months to get this video edited is because it was a whole lot of work. These build videos in particular, I mean, there's just a ton of clips. Like I had over 100 clips that I had to edit up. And it was very time consuming to edit, so I ask if you enjoyed the video, if you found any of it informative, please subscribe to my channel for more swampy FPV nonsense. So, notice anything, like, different, you know? I should probably buy a car at some point for the express purpose of being able to rip more spots, but luckily I have my priorities sorted out and I got the HDOs with rapid fire instead.